Hi everybody, it's Heath, and I would like to talk to you a little bit about War of Kings strategy, and in particular in this video, strategy for the opening move of the game. So it's important because we can only talk about strategy in relation to what it takes to win the game. So what are you trying to do in War of Kings? Well, in War of Kings, you're trying to get to 13 achievement points. The player who does that wins. This is the opening setup for the blue player, and we filled out the economic ledger. So we're already starting with 3 achievement points based on the village and the town that we have, but we have to get to 13. Now we know that we can do this by building or capturing more settlements. Villages give you 1, towns give you 2, cities give you 3. And then additionally there are some extra conditions that you can meet and get additional achievement points, which come in very handy. The Warlord of Arrowith, if you have the largest territory or the largest kingdom by territory size, it has to be at least 7 territories, then you get an additional victory point. If you are heavily fortified, which means you have built 5 levels of fortifications, then you get 2 additional victory points. If you become an empire, which means you build your capital territory settlement into a city, as well as having captured 3 levels of settlements of a color that is not your own, you get 2 additional achievement points. And then if you are the player who is generating the most amount of gold, at least 24 gold coins, but also the player who has the most, then you are the master merchant and you get an additional victory point. So that's what you're trying to do, and you're trying to get to 13. So when you're deciding what should you do on a particular turn, well, it's always important to keep in mind what can you do in order to get victory points and move toward that. Generally speaking, I think that it's a good idea to try to make sure you're developing yourself economically every turn. If you have the ability to develop yourself economically every turn, then it's a good idea to do that. And it's also a good idea to go ahead and spend your resources in any particular turn. Of course, you may have some resources at the end of a turn left over if you're trying to do something. You may save some of them, but generally speaking, you want to spend what you have at on any particular turn when it's generated. This is the opening layout for the blue player, and I also have the starting resources laid out here, which are 7 gold, 5 timber, 7 wheat, 7 cattle, and 2 stone. So you'll begin the game, your first construction phase, with a little bit more than what we have on the board here, because one of the first things that happens in the game is everybody collects their gold, and every kingdom is generating 9 gold at the start of the game. We filled that out on the economic ledger here. And so when the game starts, the first construction phase starts, which remember is simultaneously played among all players at the table, everybody would go and get 9 gold coins. And so that's 9. So that's my 9 gold coins that I get at the first construction phase of the game. Plus I would get whatever is rolled on the resource dice. So let me roll the resource dice. Remember, every player collects resources based on this, so I'm going to roll them right here. And we have a roll of red, yellow, and green. So let me collect resources based on my kingdom and what I've got here. Red, yellow, and green. So yellow right here, I get 3 timber and 1 wheat for the roll of a yellow, because this is my capital territory, happens to be yellow. So I get 3 of the primary resource and 1 of the secondary resource for having a town in the territory. So that's 3 timber in my case. That is 3 more timber. I'll just pick that up right here. And then 1 additional wheat right here. That was yellow. And then, do we roll red? Yes, we did. For the roll of a red, I'm getting 1 stone because I have control of a territory. Control gets me 1 primary resource, so I get an additional unit of stone. And then I get everything on green as well. Green, I'm getting 2 cattle. So I'm on green here. That's 2 cattle. And it's 2 because I have a village here on that green. And so I'm going to pick up 2 units of cattle. The resources that everybody gets to add to their stockpile will be a little bit different because all of the players' setups are a little bit different. Everybody has different colors that they're on and different resources for all of those colors. That facilitates trade. So that's where I stand when the construction phase begins for me to start building what I want to build. And I'll mention again, everybody is building simultaneously during War of Kings during the construction phase. It's a simultaneously played part of the game. Okay, so what might I want to do here on this opening construction phase? Well, let's take a look at what I can do. What are valid moves, not considering resources? I mean, what are valid things to do? Well, of course, I can build settlements. My settlements are villages, towns, and cities. There can only be one settlement per territory. And I can also only build a settlement or upgrade one settlement in a territory per turn. So I have control of 2 territories here. So potentially, if I paid the cost in gold and resources, I could build a village in either one of these territories because they are the ones that are controlled and don't have any settlement in them. I have a village here, so if I wanted to, I could upgrade it into a town. I have a town here, so if I wanted to, I could pay to upgrade it into a city, assuming I have the necessary resources. Then I have a road here. You can build a road between territories. Roads always sit between territories, so you can see what they are connecting. You have to have control over both territories when you are building a road. So if I wanted to pay it, I could build a road between these 2 territories because I control both of them, or these 2 territories, or these 2 territories. It would not be a legal play for me to build a road out here because I don't have control over this territory. It's unexplored, it's unknown. So I couldn't, even if I paid the resources cost, build a road out in that direction. Another thing that I can do is fortify myself. So I can build walls, fortresses, or castles. You may only build fortifications in a territory if you have a settlement in it. So I could build, and I don't have any fortifications in either one of these territories right now, so the only thing that I can do is build walls if I were to pay that. I can't build walls over here because there are no settlements. Now, you can build settlements and fortifications in the same territory on the same turn. So if I had enough resources and gold, I could, if I wanted to, build a village right there in one turn and also put walls around it. If I had enough resources and gold, that would be a valid play. You can do both settlements and fortifications in a single territory on a single turn. You can't build a settlement and then upgrade it in the same turn, and you can't build a fortification and upgrade it. So I couldn't build a village here and then on the same turn upgrade it into a town, even if I had the resources cost, because you can only upgrade a settlement once per turn. You'll have to wait to the next. So I suppose I should point out here that we've got village, town, and city. So this is just the cost to build a village in a territory that you control. But then if you would like to build a town or a city, those are upgrade costs. If you have a village already in a territory and you want to upgrade it into a town, this is the cost that you pay and upgrade it into a town. And then if you have a town and you want to upgrade it into a city, that's the cost that you pay. Likewise, here's the cost for walls, and then this is the upgrade cost to fortress and castle, which can be done on later turns. I can also build an army, and the army here costs 5 gold, 3 wheat, and 3 cattle. I can only build armies in territories that have at least a town in them. So on the opening move here, the only territory which is valid to have a army built in it is this capital territory right here. So if I wanted to and I paid the necessary cost, I could build the army right here because it is at least a town. As you expand your kingdom, you'll have more towns and more and cities, and also the ability to raise armies, therefore in more locations. Whenever you raise an army, it does always start unready. So we have the ready and unready side of the army tokens. Unready is the side that's grayed out. So whenever you recruit and it's dropped onto the board for the first time, it is grayed out. Put it up on the grayed out side so that you know that you cannot move it this turn. So it's not eligible for movement. All right, the other things that I could do here, you'll notice that there are provisions and then also resupply here. Provisions cost 5 gold and resupplying an army costs 2 gold. What's the difference between those two? Provisions allow you to have more armies on the board than your settlements can support. Support is a very important part of this game because when Seth and I designed it, we didn't want somebody to just be able to build nothing but armies and just try to storm all over the place with just, 6, 8, 10, 12 armies, whatever, just going out of control. We wanted to be sure that we balanced this, the military and the economics, because we want you to you can only build enough, a sizable military force that you can support economically. I will talk about support here in another video. But in the event that you find yourself with unsupported armies during your construction phase, you have to remove those armies from the board, or you can pay for provisions, which are 5 gold, and that's an extra amount that you're having to pay sort of out of pocket in order to keep a larger military force on the table than is otherwise would otherwise be able to be based on your settlements. Let me take this one off. So that's back to the starting setup. The other thing that you can have on this pricing guide is resupply. And resupply is not something that you do during your construction phase. You do it at the end of your turn, the not simultaneously played part of your turn. And that allows you to remove damage markers from armies which have taken damage. But you have to pay 2 gold coins in order to do that. And so that is a little bit of a reason why you might hold back and keep a couple of gold coins with you until the end of your turn, your individual turn, if you think you're going to need to be able to resupply an army because one of them has taken damage.
War of Kings is available on ravenkeep.net. Shop now and get it for your table.